If you're using the wrong ACCA study resources, you're not just wasting time. You're preparing for an exam that doesn't actually exist. And the painful truth is, most students who fail at the knowledge level don't fail because they didn't study enough. They fail because they studied the wrong things, in the wrong order, from the wrong places. This entire video is built to stop that from happening to you. Because every single exam paper at this level, BT, MA, FMA, and FA, FFA, follows a very specific mindset set by ACCA examiners. And once you align your resources with that mindset, your passing chances shift dramatically. I've seen this happen repeatedly inside the education bench community. Students who were stuck at 45-49 suddenly jump into the 70s with just one resource correction. And one story that always stays with me is from a student named Zara. She failed BT twice, not because she didn't study, not because she was weak, but because she was studying for a completely different version of the exam than the one presented on exam day. She was relying on easy summaries, shortcut notes, and outdated PDFs floating around on Telegram groups. Her concepts weren't the problem, her resources were. On her third attempt, we changed only two things. We shifted her to examiner reports and moved all her practice into the official ACCA CBE platform. That was it. She scored 71. The same girl, the same brain, the same hard work, just different resources. This is why I want you to stay with me till the end of this video, because you're about to hear the exact blueprint that helps students like Zara, and many others, stop guessing what to study and finally start studying what the examiner wants. So here's what you'll walk away with today. You'll know exactly which ACCA resources match examiner expectations, what toppers use that average students ignore, the sequence in which you must use each resource, which popular sources actually destroy your exam performance, and at the end, I'll insert 2 viral-style mini-lessons that condense the entire ACCA resource strategy into quick hits that will stick in your mind even on revision day. My goal is that after this video, you don't ever feel confused again about where to study from or how to practice. You won't need to hop from one video to another or collect random notes. This will be the only guide you'll ever need, built entirely from real student performance data, examiner reports, and years of teaching ACCA students online and offline. Let's start with the foundation. When you're preparing for knowledge level exams, think of your resources like a 4-level pyramid. Every level has a purpose, and skipping even one creates a gap big enough for the examiner to cut marks from. At the base of this pyramid is the most valuable part of your journey, the ACCA official resources. This is the heart of your exam. These include the syllabus, technical articles, specimen exams, examiner reports, and the ACCA practice platform. Many students underestimate these because they look boring, complex, or too detailed. But here's the twist. These are written by the same mindset that writes your exam. The syllabus tells you exactly what topics are examinable. Technical articles tell you the examiner's latest focus areas. Examiner reports tell you the mistakes thousands of students before you made. And the CBE practice platform gives you the closest possible simulation of the real exam, from structure to logic to question patterns to timing pressure. If you ignore these resources, you are not preparing for the ACCA exam, you're preparing for your imagination of the exam. And your imagination won't score you marks. But the examiner will, if you match your preparation to their expectations. The second level of the pyramid is where most students operate, approved publishers. Kaplan and BPP are the two giants here, alongside LSBF for some topics. Each of them has strengths, and knowing when to use which one can literally add 10-15 marks to your score. Kaplan is strong on clarity and simple explanations. BPP is strong on exam standard difficulty and detailed reasoning. For example, Kaplan is excellent for BT because the explanations are cleaner, more student-friendly, and easy to digest. Meanwhile, BPP tends to shine for FA and MA because their question banks replicate examiner-style logic more closely. Some students prefer Kaplan's visual approach, others prefer BPP's technical depth. The key is not which one you use, it's whether you match the text to your learning style. A student named Omar told me he kept failing MA despite using BPP. On examining his study pattern, it was clear he was a visual, step-by-step learner. BPP's dense explanations overwhelmed him. We switched him to Kaplan text but kept BPP QBank. That combination alone pushed him from 44 to 67. The third level of the pyramid is the question bank, the most underestimated goldmine in ACCA prep. If there is one resource that directly predicts who passes, it is this. I've seen students who didn't finish their textbooks but completed the Q bank twice still pass comfortably. But students who read everything yet barely solved questions often struggle. Q banks simulate examiner logic, timing pressure, trick questions, and topic integration. And the biggest mistake students make is thinking that one round of Q bank practice is enough. It's not. You need at least 2 rounds, one slow and understanding based. The second timed and exam focused. I teach something called the QB10 method. Every day, no matter what, you attempt 10 exam standard MCQs. No excuses. This daily exposure rewires your brain to think like the examiner. Students who did this consistently usually report a 20-25 mark increase within 4 or 5 weeks. The fourth and final level of the pyramid is supplementary tools. These include YouTube explanations, yes, Education Bench included, along with flashcards, short notes, AI tools like ChatGPT for clarifying explanations, and additional practice PDFs. The important thing here is knowing that supplements are just that, supplements. They are not substitutes. Many students confuse extra content with extra help. But extra content is actually extra confusion. When you collect too many notes, too many PDFs, too many summaries, and too many opinions, your mind stops processing exam logic. You start memorizing instead of understanding. And ACCA brutally punishes memorization. You should use supplementary tools only for reinforcement, not direction. Your direction must come from ACCA's official mindset and your approved materials. Now let's move into what students love most, resource strategies for each subject. Let's start with BT, Business and Technology. BT is theory heavy, but exam logic matters more than definitions. The examiner tests understanding of business structure, corporate governance, culture, ethics, leadership models, and decision-making approaches. The biggest resource mistake students make in BT is relying too heavily on notes or simplified summaries. BT is one of those papers where technical articles play a massive role because the examiner often uses case-style MCQs where context matters more than textbook lines. Your ideal approach for BT is this. Read Kaplan for understanding, then immediately move to ACCA technical articles, and after that, start your QBank practice. The past papers and specimen exams have a high weight. If you're not solving real exam-style questions, you're not preparing for BT. You're preparing for a theory test. BT is not a theory test. It's an application test. Next comes MA, FMA, Management Accounting. This paper is brutal for students who avoid practice. The 3 killers here are variances, break-even, and costing techniques. Kaplan's text is easier to understand for formulas, but BPP's QBank gives you the real challenge. The examiner expects you not just to calculate but to interpret. Students who read the text but skip QBank struggle because MA is not a reading subject. It's a problem-solving subject. The ideal flow for MA is simple. Take either Kaplan or BPP text, build your conceptual base, use formula sheets consistently, and then dive into QBank twice. You must attempt mocks, at least 3. One student named Halima followed this exact flow. She was stuck at 46 twice. When she switched to the Kaplan text BPP QBank combo and added weekly mocks, she passed with 72. FFA is next, Financial Accounting. This paper tricks students with deceptively simple-looking MCQs. The examiner loves trap questions, especially in areas like trial balance, error correction, depreciation, receivables, and financial statements. BPP QBank is king here because it mirrors the trap style of the real exam. This is the one subject where you should prioritize BPP over Kaplan. The ideal FA flow is BPP text right pointing arrow QBank right pointing arrow ACCA practice platform right pointing arrow timed mocks. Students who practice on the CBE platform usually outperform others by a wide margin because FA questions rely heavily on structured layouts, input fields, and small numerical traps that only appear in exam-style formatting. Now let's be brutally honest about something that no one talks about. There are resources you must avoid, even if they look helpful. Shortcut notes that skip half the syllabus. Random TikTok summaries. One night before cheat sheets that claim to cover everything. Unapproved notes from tutors who aren't aligned with ACCA. Telegram PDFs floating around with errors. And ChatGPT generated questions, which are usually not examiner style at all. Students fail ACCA not because they lack resources, but because they trust the wrong ones. One student named Daniel scored 37 in FAA even though he studied every day. But when I checked his resources, he was using shortcuts and free PDFs that weren't aligned with the exam. We switched him to BPP and the official platform. 3 months later, he scored 69. Now let's talk about what toppers do, the 90-day framework that consistently produces results. In weeks 1 to 4, your goal is to build understanding. You read the text in understanding mode, not memorization mode. You create one-page summary notes per chapter. And you solve 15 MCQs per day using the QB10 method. Weeks 5 to 8 are the practice phase. You complete QBank Round 1 entirely, identify weak areas, take weekly mocks, and revise formulas or rules using flashcards. Weeks 9 to 12 are the exam phase. You complete QBank Round 2 under time conditions, take at least 3 full-length mocks, revise only flagged questions, and use technical articles strategically. This is the exact system that has worked for thousands of students across different countries and backgrounds. Another quick hit: most students misuse the correct resources. They read the text like a novel instead of a guide. They attempt QBank without timing themselves. They solve mocks too late. Toppers do the opposite. They use the text for understanding, the QBank for mastering, and the mocks for sharpening. So here is your official education bench flow. The master sequence that I've tested across thousands of student scenarios. Use Kaplan for BT and BPP for FA. Use BPP QBank for MA and FA. Practice on the ACCA platform regularly. Read technical articles monthly. Study examiner reports after every mock. Attempt at least 3 mocks before the real exam. And attempt a 50-question timed test every week. And this is where we close with clarity. You don't need 50 resources. You need only 5, used correctly. The students who pass ACCA aren't the ones who study the most hours. They're the ones who study the right things, the right way, from the right sources. If you want me to create a full study plan customized to your paper, drop your subject in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Education Bench, where we turn exam fear into exam power.